good morning. So today I have Ahmos with us, who has 9 years of experience when it comes to digital marketing communications. He has worked with a lot of universities from B2B technological companies alongside their management teams to develop marketing communication platforms, which is something that's so important because usually a lot of effort and a lot of thought goes into actually creating content that audience is interested in, because there's so much clutter these days when it comes to producing content. So you need to get the right content produced for your right audience. Let's welcome Ahmos on 10 Minutes of Hiding Wisdom, where he will tell us about where he's worked, where he's currently working, and what he has learned along the way. Hi Ahmos, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you, Manal?
Good, thank you so much for joining us. How's your Monday going so far?
Oh, it's going. It's going. Full of meetings, full of different interviews, and I'm super excited to be here today, and willing to help out a fellow B2B marketer or B2C marketer, right? In this journey, right? I'm right now. I'm in the job seeker transitional phase right now. I was currently with VIP Kid, but I'm no longer there, and I'm just looking for the best opportunities. And so, usually I find myself between a lot of mergers and acquisitions, and I know a lot of folks can relate to that. And
Okay.
really, one thing is just kind of maintaining your head above water and just handling the best way that you can, and treating the situation and just staying positive overall.
That's very
Really,
true, because I think so many of us give hope usually at the start phase, and then things start getting hard. So I think you just need to be consistent. You need to be resilient to make sure that you can actually navigate yourself through the job transition. And you recently mentioned that you used to work with VIP Kid. So how is your job search like? What are some of the tips that you're working with that could help other job seekers out there?
absolutely. I mean, so far I've been in like 56 interviews, including the first round, second rounds, all together from all different organizations, B2B, tech, healthcare, all different industries. And one thing is just, when it's how they in the real estate market they say it's a seller's market now. I really do consider it to be a job seeker market. There's so many other opportunity out there, just to, waiting to be explored. And I think that for me, it's now at a point in my career I can at least a little bit be kind of selective of where I choose and where I want to go and where's my next steps.
My
Um,
next question. Sorry, go ahead.
no, and I was just gonna say that, in terms of being in a position like that, I think your best bet is to stay positive, continue going with the flow, know your stuff. I even in during transitional phases, no matter how many years of experience, marketing is always changing. I'm always signing up for workshops, doing Udemy courses. I'm also part of a Dave Harold's marketing group community, which is I really highly recommend it. DGMG. He also posts good marketing jobs as well. For other marketers out there that are interested in learning a little bit more about marketing, demand gen, product marketing, everything all in between, and how to scale an organization. So I highly just recommend just keeping up to date with so many things and so many changes, especially with the privacy, understanding how that affects your analytics, your attribution, demand gen overall.
Thank you so much for sharing those. I'll definitely search those up and link them in the YouTube link when it comes out, because I think that could definitely help a lot of people. And you did mention, Ahmad, that the market has changed. It's definitely the job seekers market now. But then there are so many people that are applying for jobs now. So how can you turn that wave into your favor? Like, how exactly would you navigate through thousands of jobs out there to make sure that you stand out?
Absolutely. I think number one is starting off with a good resume. Overall, I think it's important to, I invested on my resume a lot, in terms of, I have a graphic designer from New York, and she does a fabulous job with my resume every time I turn around and I'm in a transitional job seeking phase in my career. And literally I get compliments on it all the time. It's like, it's so easy and, user friendly, easier for us to read. It tells us a breadth of your experience, everything else, because sometimes it could be a little bit rather dry sometimes when you're looking at a resume and on that. But literally it starts from there. And it starts if have a cover letter. I think that there's a lot of people that really don't take the time to write about your experience, write a cover letter for that specific job. And, and that's something that if you're just hitting apply button and uploading your resume, that's great, but it's not giving any depth. It's not standing your foot into the door, right? Into that organization. I think it all starts with having a good resume and having a great cover letter that really stands out and that relates to your experience to the new opportunity that you're applying for.
Guilty. I never submit a cover letter. I'm just like, I cannot do that, and I just go for the easy apply option. But I think these days, in order, because so many people are transitioning in their careers, are looking for jobs, I think the cover letter definitely gives you the next oomph, because specifically you need to make yourself stand out, because at the end of the day, it's the extra mile that you go that actually shows employees that you're really interested in their company. So thank you for sharing that. You mentioned that you ask someone from New York to work on your resume. I'd love to hear, because I've heard so many people say that, okay, when you actually ask other people to write your resume, it doesn't actually reflect your personality, doesn't actually reflect your experience. Can you speak more to that, how your experience has been?
No, absolutely. And this is honestly, it's someone that I know on a personal friend level too. So it's a little bit different, and she understands the market. Someone who was a former marketing person herself that's now turned into a graphic designer, someone that completely gets it. And I talk with her and I'm like, here's my personality. This is what I'm at. This is what I aspire to be, how do we tell the story, right, in my resume from coming in from hey, this is where I want to be to this is what I've done, right? And she has a fabulous way of working with me, and we really just sit down in a one-on-one setting and just kind of say, okay, Amos, what do you expect to get with this? What's your vision and all that? And I think that there's services out there, yeah, you can go and pay, but I mean, there's also the benefit of knowing someone and having a freelancer do it, and that actually takes the time to sit down to get to know you. And I think that's
That's
where
very true.
really a lot of the stuff communicates through because I look at my resume and I say, okay, this is an accurate representation of me at the end of the day
Okay.
because it's someone that really truly cares and captures the intent and captures the experience as a whole and presents it beautifully.
Okay, well, that makes sense, because I think your personality is something that's very important, because at the end of the day, it's just the paper. But the paper needs to reflect how you are as a person, how you would contribute to the company at the end of the day, and how you would work with the people within the company. And Ahmad, the last question would be that you mentioned that you were interviewing, whether it's first round, whether it's second round. What are some tips that you have for people out there when it comes to interviewing?
Absolutely. I think number one, it's always important to ask questions, be engaged, obviously be engaged in the conversation of your interviews. But I think it's important to this is what I always say, and I always start off with this is in my next opportunity, these are the questions that I ask myself. It's like, what's next for me? Can I work with the hiring manager of that position? Can I work with my colleagues? Is it a great culture? Is it a great product that I believe in? Do I align myself, my personal beliefs, with what the company is trying to do as an overall? And I think that sometimes as folks, we get tied to the title and we get tied to the salary range, to be real. But sometimes I think what it ultimately comes down to is you got to enjoy what you do, and I think I'm at a place that I'm very selective in choosing where I want to go for stability wise, or whether if I want to go in an enterprise or if I want to be in a startup and be adventurous, right, and take the risk. But I think it's important to really know where you want to go. Don't just hit the apply button just because I'm like, I just need a job and I need to survive. That's great and dandy, but really take the time to really find out what is the next step that you want to do. Set those intentions up to the universe, right, to prepare you for the next step of your career. I think that a lot of folks don't take the time to just really sit there and recognize, I'm like, is this what I really want to do? Is this where I want to go? And I think it's important to overall analyze that, right, and put that into fruition. Like, for me, I care about platforms and technologies that are really making a change because that's what I personally believe in, right? And technology that's really making a difference that instantly you see big ROI, right? And something that's exciting, that's game changing in the industry. I think that, everybody has a different calling, right? But that to me is what's overall important is whether I believe in the product. I love the people that I work with, the culture, and of course, having a great relationship with my manager. I think those are the really key important things that people should really find out. From a startup perspective, understanding a startup, right? Where is it going? How many people are in your team? What's expected, right? Know that it's long. There's going to be long hours, right? There's going to be required working in a startup, but also from way back from my experience, also it's important to understand where is that startup now? Because if it's a startup that they opened up their business 10 years ago, well, guess what? It's not a startup because you've been in business for 10 years, you know, really kind of understanding where things are at and if it's a good risk that you want to take in the next step of your career.
Okay, I love that sense of clarity and how you have certain pinpoints on your fingers that would help you transition and judge based on where you want to go within your career, Ahmad. But Ahmad, other than that, our time is up. Thank you so much for coming on the show, for sharing about your journey. I wish you all the best in your job transition search journey, and I hope you continue to be a successful marketer and contribute to making a difference in this world. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Manal. Have a great day.